All right, looks like we're live. Let's make sure it's going out okay on the old YouTubes. Come on. All right, sounds okay. All right, so take a quick look at the chat. Not a great deal of stuff going on in the chat. Where Matt Forney says aging Bulbasaurs are sexual beasts. So I made the joke in Forney's. Forney did a stream earlier tonight. Davis did a stream, and I made the joke in both chats. Although Davis, he didn't seem to acknowledge because he was having a super serial stream. You know, with no time for shit posting. So I'm in the chat on Forney's stream, and I'm all like, you know, I hear for Mother's Day, watching my mom go black.com is offering 25% off subscriptions. And then a little bit later, I just posted the fucking ad copy from the site, and Forney starts fucking reading it as one of the comments. He's like, the Bechtloff says aging women are sexual beasts. They're in the high gear of their sexual, I don't know how it goes. He's like, oh, this is the ad copy from watching my mom go black.com. So yeah, happy Mother's Day, everybody. Oh. So something I did want to talk about. Davis had really serious esoteric stream. Him and to a lesser extent Forney, they're going off on Jordan Peterson because I don't entirely know. You know, look, Peterson's not a Christian. He's sort of half atheist, half sort of occult in his thinking. But there's a lot of value in his writings, I believe. But again, I'm just somebody who I'm sorry, I was reading the chat there. I'm just somebody who sees Peterson as somebody who has really interesting writing. You know, he's not a fucking messiah, he's not the Antichrist. And apparently I'm in the minority taking that position. I gotta really plow through and finish his book. I'm almost done with his book. I'm a little more than halfway through. But Sleepy Doodle just says the Bechtloff and sends a heart. So thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, I got to go ahead and finish it. I mean, it was sent to me off the Amazon wish list. And I do say, you know, if people get me stuff on the Amazon wish list, I'll do a review. I got to finish it first. Ian McDonald says, I made the pussies of the admins of the NC Clark's Discord server hurt, and now they're going to kick people who haven't participated since the beginning of the year. Okay. I think I posted a couple of things in there, but I don't post a lot. I mean, I sort of only have one foot in it. I just post in the memes a little bit. Like there's more going on in it than in a lot of other servers, so I can't really keep up. Yeah, I already have my own server I got to keep up with. So I don't think she'd throw me off. She knows me, so. General pleasantries. Where is this? Let's see, over in the NC Clark server. Somebody ban him. Never mind. I'm seeing if there was some drama erupting there. It doesn't look like it. Somebody says, I checked the Bechtloff Discord only for the redheads. Yes, there are lovely redheads in the Bechtloff Discord. In fact, you know what? In case anybody's not in the Bechtloff Discord yet, if you're listening to this, boom, here you go, right in the chat. Link to the Discord. Hop in, go nuts. Whole bunch of fun shit in the Discord. You know, there's the general, which is mostly meme posting. Redhead not safe for work, Redhead safe for work, serious talk, which no one really does, because why? Comic shit, Vidya, retard sex, product shilling, Tay posting, and Bulbasaur posting. So there you go. Discord's fun on the bun, but then I always like it when you find a new thing online. You get the swing of it. It's fun on the bun. Let's see. Stream needs more Bulbasaur hentai. Well, I don't have Luke involved. I don't know. Maybe Luke is available. I'll send him a link. I don't know. He's usually chilling out though after the two. Like he usually does Davis's stream and stuff. Like I sent him shit. I try and get him to shit post in the middle of Davis's stream a little bit, and I hopped in. I wanted to shit post a little bit, but it was just, it was super serial. We had a lot to talk about. A lot of Catholic posting. One thing Davis goes off about all the time, and I was kind of thinking about it a little bit afterwards. He goes off. He always likes to say that demons don't really exist, and he's not saying that in some fedora way. He's saying it in that they exist outside of existence, is his argument. That they exist outside the light of God, and they're so far removed from the truth that they have almost no real form to them. And they have to latch on to people to get any real form. And I don't. I don't entirely agree. I think he's on to some stuff. I think he's just kind of tunnel vision latched onto it and maybe blown something up. I would suspect there are probably demonic entities, the way Davis describes them, that are so far removed from reality, they're almost some sort of equivalent of a negative number, almost. Where they almost have no true identity anymore. I don't suspect that's all of them. And he goes on about how, some demons are, used to be human, and that's not a Christian doctrine. I don't even believe that's a Catholic doctrine, although the Catholics do believe some wild, wacky, unbiblical shit, so I don't know. But I don't believe that's a Catholic doctrine. I'm not going to say that maybe damned souls don't wander the earth and cause fucking trouble. Maybe most Christians don't seem to believe that, but I wouldn't put that completely outside the realm of Christian theology. But no, demons are fallen angels. Again, I think Davis is on to something about the nature of these things. I just think he's a bit too tunnel visioned about it. I think the Hellraiser movies are on to something about the nature of the demonic, but I don't consider them entirely theologically accurate. Easy, buddy. Coughing. All right. You got one of them stuffed chew toys that you get for dog, a little penguin. So he's been eviscerating it most of this afternoon. Now he's got a hole in the face. Now he's trying to get it inside out. He likes to get them inside out. Fucking nylon stuffing all over the floor here. Bechtloff, why do demons always look like imps in media? From what I understand, that more common, the goat leg thing, depiction of demons. A lot of that comes from some early Christian sects were trying to demonize Pan, no pun intended, demonize followers of the one pagan god Pan, and he looked like that. The Bible isn't all that particularly clear about what demons actually look like. So, the whole, walking around with the goat legs and the horns and shit. It's entirely possible imps might look more like in the fucking Doom video games. And to some extent, you're sort of, with these sorts of beings, you're sort of trying to describe color to people born blind. I think there's a bit more than just simple 3D form to these things. Ian McDonald says, I have a theory that most of what we think of as demons aren't actually demons, but are the dark projections of our own individual darkest sins. To some extent, I'd say, at least from a Christian perspective, there's some truth to that. I mean, some of your quote-unquote demons in a metaphorical sense are just your own sins, your own fallen nature. Christian theology is generally held, the three evil forces, as it were, that'd be set humanity, or the devil, the world, and the flesh. The devil referring broadly to just supernatural evil, the world referring to just the evil in the world, and the flesh referring to the evil in you. And I think most people through most of history have had to deal a lot more with the flesh than the devil. Warhammer demons fit surprisingly well with Davis O'Reilly's vision of demonhood. Well, Davis is a big nerd, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's kind of taken part of that from it. To use another nerd reference, I remember, and again, it's been so long since I've done Dungeon Master shit on Dungeons and Dragons, but I remember the two class of quote unquote, hell entities. There were demons and devils, and I don't remember which was which. But one was lawful evil and one was chaotic evil. And the chaotic evil ones were just, complete chaos being. They're probably were closer to what Davis describes. And then the lawful evil ones were closer to those, kind of demons of storytelling that would, offer you a contract, as it were, try and swindle you, but there was some manner of rules to how they operate. Let's see. Wait, Davis had fun at some point. Oh, he's had fun before in very, very controlled settings where he's got to justify it. Somebody says, I've been noticing people's eyes lately. I know exactly. Oh, wait, I gotta go up here. Chris, remember how you mentioned muting the TV and watching the body language / mannerisms of people and asking ourselves what our hindbrains are telling us? I've been noticing people's eyes lately. I know exactly what you mean. No life in people's eyes, or crazy eyes, a la Pelosi and all. They say you can't judge a book by its cover. Well, it's more accurate to say you can't always judge a book by its cover. Somebody says, how does one find a church with as little evangelical stereotypes as possible without going Catholic, Orthodox, or some shit? Again, it depends on what exactly you're referring to, but I would say the more local, the better. You want to steer clear of churches that are part of some big mega church network. You definitely want to steer clear of most mainline denominations anyways. But you want to steer clear of churches that are part of some big mega church network. You want your local fucking church. That's what you want. You want that as local as possible. That's one of the fatal flaws with Catholicism. It's frankly how centralized it all is. That only leads to rot. No, you want it as local as possible. Um, Bechtloff, your stream is always more relaxed. It's one of the reasons I've started rethinking my worldview. Well, I'm not sure how exactly you mean rethinking your worldview, because I mean, I'd like you to elaborate on that some, Sleepy Doodle. Davis has to say 3 Hail Marys before rolling for initiative. He's a bit high strung. You have got that penguin inside out again, buddy. I don't know why you like doing that so much. I guess maybe it's easier to chew on the seams or something. Rip it apart, but like if I take it from him, push it, right side in again, he'll work on it, getting it inside out again. Gretol, I'm not sure how to pronounce your little handle there, but I just visited a non-denominational church today, and it was the most stereotypical I've ever seen. The pastor was Ken Ham crazy and thinks left-handedness is sinful. Yeah, I heard you mention that in a Discord, and you said that he didn't think it had rained before the flood, which is actually extremely common among literal creationists. That's a very common view among them, that there was no rain before the flood. It's not 100% among a lot of these little creationists, but a lot of the what I like to call the Ken Ham model, a lot of them think that. And I'll be honest with you, if you want conservative Protestant, you are going to be hard pressed to find a church where they're not creationists. But I just sort of roll my eyes at it and whatever, I deal with it. It is what it is. I mean, I understand why they think that, the Bible being of such importance to them, and I respect that. It's just I just don't have enough faith to buy it. It's just not a story that, in a literal sense, I believe holds water. I can't. I often describe myself as theologically, I am evangelical minus the creationism and the Israel fetish. That's about it. Ray says, I didn't know you still had a doggo. I don't. My dad does. But he's often down here with me when I stream. So, Bechtloff, have you seen the channel Bombard Body Language? It's a goldmine for people who want to learn body language, and most of her analysis seems to be pretty spot on. I'll check it out. I don't claim to be an expert in body language. I just know I've just kind of now reached a point where I've stopped ignoring it, as it were. And I just, a lot of times what I feel from people, it's not, I can't necessarily put in the words. It's just feelings. Again, it's your hindbrain. Your hindbrain, it senses things you don't. Your conscious brain does not. So, Gratau, Gratau is the pronunciation, apparently. Gratau. I'm a 10,000-year-old creationist. Ken Ham is batshit insane to me, though. But yeah, it's I believe Ken Ham's more along the lines of the 6,000-year creationist, which, I mean, it's a little blurry when you get that far back, but most historians seem to think, that recorded history goes back about 8,000 to 10,000 years. So, at least from what I understand, I could be wrong. As I've said on here numerous times, one of my, I shouldn't say biggest problems, but it's one of the It's one of the just, I don't know, maybe you could call it biggest problems. The starlight problem. I don't understand how the 6,000-year-old universe people begin to square that. I mean, you know, and what I mean by that is that the closest star to this planet, aside from the sun, which I might add is 8 light-minutes away. Again, space is pretty fucking big. The closest star to our planet is Alpha Centauri. I believe it's roughly 4.25 light years away. So that means when you look at Alpha Centauri, you're not seeing Alpha Centauri the way it is now. You are seeing Alpha Centauri as it was about 4 years and 3 months ago, give or take. And you're kind of seeing a recording, as it were, of 4 years, 3 months ago. I don't want to say a picture because it's moving in, real time, but a recording of 4 years, 3 months ago. If Alpha Centauri explodes right now, or did a week ago or a year ago, we would not know for some time. Till 4 years and 3 months, roughly, from the event. Now that's our closest star. You can see with the naked eye, let alone when you whip out the old telescope, stars and other, even other galaxies that are considerably further than 6,000 light years away, considerably further than 10,000 light years away. So the question then begins to me is obvious. If I'm looking at, if I exist in a universe that's 6,000 years old or 10,000 years old, then what the hell am I looking at when I look at a star that's 15,000 light years away? It seems that what I would be looking at, because I've heard people say, well, God, he created the light in between us and the star, so that Adam wouldn't have to wait 4 years and 3 months to see the first star. Problem with that is then everything Adam saw for that first 4 years and 3 months of just Alpha Centauri, never mind everything else, was essentially a recording of events that didn't happen. Now, a lot of literal creationists will say, that because I take Genesis more as some sort of allegory, that I'm making God a liar by not taking Genesis literally. And these same people believe that God filled the sky with pictures of things that never happened. And again, I've heard, appearance of age. That's something entirely different than appearance of age. Appearance of age is Adam being created as a full-grown man who was able to speak a language. I don't know, Hebrew, I guess. I don't fucking know. But he didn't have false memories of growing up, of going to school and learning that language. So he says there's no reason God couldn't spawn the universe with a backstory. The problem is, though, that backstory is a lie. It didn't happen. Yeah. If we look in a telescope tomorrow and we watch a star 20,000 light years away and we watch it explode, we watch it go supernova. Oh wow, that was cool, right? Well, according to a literal creationist, that never fucking happened. For all we know, that star never existed. Or I guess that star, never existed. Somebody says, how is it a lie? God said it happened definitively. Well, that's not saying it happened. Again, that's just creating images of it happening. But no, it didn't happen. If this universe didn't exist 20,000 light years away, or 20,000 years ago, then everything you're looking at 20,000 light years away is a fiction. Sorry, folks. It's funny. I didn't even say a word to him. I just looked over at my dad's dog starting to sniff around in the trash can. And I just looked at him, and he immediately stopped and went over and got in his bag. He knew he wasn't supposed to be doing that. So he says, I just assume it's within God's ability to bring light here as soon as he'd like in the beginning instead of making us have to wait. Of course, I don't care much about evolution versus creationism. I've heard some creationists argue that the speed of light drastically decreased. Some of them say the flood did that because reasons or whatever, or that it's been drastically decreasing. The problem is, again, to make everything, 6,000 years old, you'd have to be talking about a speed of light that's decreasing pretty fucking fast. Or maybe, we're at kind of an sort of a reverse exponential curve, and the rate of decrease has slowed or whatever. The point is, though, we've been able to calculate light speed for a while now. We should have been able to observe it decreasing, if it indeed isn't decreasing. And I mean, it's entirely possible, that it decreased at some point. But, these are the same people who will criticize evolutionists for constantly coming up with theories that explain gaps in it, constantly coming up with ideas that explain gaps in their theories that they essentially pull out of their ass, and then immediately pull this out of their ass to explain the gap in their theory. Luke, I don't know if you're trying to talk, but all I'm hearing is little bits of it. So I don't know what's going on there, bud.
No sound coming through?
There you are. For a little while there, it was like, but yeah, there you are.
What's up, Doc?
Somebody says, if you create a universe and put laws in place, then it would make sense to create a universe to create whatever is in that universe according to the very laws you set in place. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. Again, I'm not criticizing the fact that, things were created or even created with the experience of age. Again, you're talking about a sky full of, pictures of events that didn't happen.
So what are we talking about creationism today?
It came up, and I was talking about the light speed problem I have with it.
Well, as someone who's technically a creationist, I just say the Bible will hold out in the end.
Well, I don't consider Genesis untrue. I just don't necessarily take it literally. And again, I don't even necessarily throw stones at people that do it. Just I just don't buy it literally. It just doesn't hold water to me.
I just have issue with people like it's kind of funny. Like you ever saw the movie Paul with the alien character played by Seth Rogen?
Oh, I hated that movie. Fucking just all of a sudden, just the fucking fedoraism gets injected into it.
Yeah, it's the attitude of the woman before the alien reveal. That's the only attitude I take issue with. But other than that, I don't. It's really it's hard to argue with that. Just the attitude of it that's really annoying, not the argumentation.
I would really, really like to see like someone like Ken Ham argue with a flat earther, because most of the flat earthers are themselves creationists. And I mean, because at a certain point, I want to sit down and say to Ken Ham, like, you understand, like, the way you felt to that flat earther is how we all feel to you. Okay? Because herein lies one of my bigger problems with creationism. It comes to what you said about an attitude. When there was that Ken Ham Bill Nye debate a couple years ago, right? They asked him at the end, what would change your mind, right? And Bill Nye said, evidence. I just need to see compelling evidence that points in this direction. Now, I think Bill Nye's full of shit when he said that. Let's be real. I think Bill Nye is a fucking fedora to the max, and no amount of evidence is going to change his mind, period, okay? That said, though, that's the correct answer for a scientist to give. Okay. I would argue that's the correct answer for just a rational, reasonable human being to give. I try to bring my line of thinking in line with reality is what we should all be striving to do. Okay. I know we all have to take leaps of faith at certain points, but there's a difference between that and, sticking your fingers in your ear and saying, la, la, la. Now, getting back to Ken Ham's answer was, I believe the Bible and no amount of evidence will ever change my mind. And when I heard that, I thought, why, then what the fuck were we doing listening to you? Why should we take you seriously? You just admit it in a debate on science. You don't care about evidence. That's certainly not science. I wouldn't even call that faith at that point. So yeah, that's sort of my attitude problem with a lot of these creationists is they believe it because they want to. Now, don't get me wrong, plenty of the evolutionists are the same way. So to some extent, I guess you could praise the creationists for being a touch honest about that. But I don't believe Christianity because I want to. Trust me. There was a time in my life when I very much did not want to. Occasionally, still now, I don't.
Of course, that position is true for virtually any position. I mean, you could say, well, the only reason you are a Christian is because you want it to be true. Well, you're only an atheist because you want it to be true too. So it's not really a point.
We all have our bias. We all, nobody likes to be proven wrong. Nobody likes to be wrong. And we all filter the world through our worldview. We all filter the evidence through our worldview. But there comes a time when something's gotten so jammed in that filter, you realize maybe the filter is wrong. I'm not saying you walk around I'm not doing that stupid Sargon shit where he's like, I don't have an ideology. Ideologies are bad. Dickwad, you just saying ideologies is bad is in and of itself an ideology. Granted, it's one eating its own fucking tail, but nonetheless, it's an ideology. So yeah, I'm not saying that, but at a certain point, it's good to take even your deepest assumptions and say, am I maybe an asshole here? Am I maybe completely fucking wrong? And if I was never willing to do that, I never would have became a Christian in the first place. Because I was pretty well in the agnostic/deist camp, when I was a teenager into young adulthood. Let's see. Somebody says, I've yet to meet a moderate/no ideology that didn't spout left-wing views. Yeah, funny how that works. The Orthodox have a metaphorical interpretation of Genesis. If I recall correctly, IIRC, I think that's what that stands for. I know everyone has been shitting on Jordan Peterson, but I rather like the way Jordan Peterson squares Genesis with evolution. He kind of considers in some ways the original sin was, mankind becoming truly self-conscious. It's a very interesting take. I'll do a full review on 12 Rules where he talks about it a lot more.
What's his take? What was his take on it again? Like man became self-conscious, and then eventually that self-consciousness led man to interpret himself as the center of the universe.
He argues that, The sin was eating the knowledge of, from eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which he argued made Adam and Eve self-conscious. And he means that in like, they were now acutely aware of their own morality or mortality, their own vulnerability. And he said inherent in that is the potential for evil, because if you understand how you are hurt, you understand how to hurt others. In other words, you can see viciousness in the animal kingdom, but there's no real malevolence behind it, you see a cat, kill a mouse, but it's not because, hey, fuck that mouse. It's, I want to eat that mouse. And even when you look at a cat and it seems to be torturing a smaller prey or quote unquote playing with it, you might see cats where they sort of smack the mouse around a little bit and all. That's just a strategy to, to beat the shit out of it, so that when you go in close, it's not going to fuck you up. It's not. It's the cat's not being an asshole. Somebody says, do you believe Moses literally parted the Red Sea? Sure. I have no problem with that. I don't really have any problem with Genesis once we're to the point in Egypt. I don't really have any problem with it. And you could say like, oh, well, where do you think it's a metaphor? Where do you think it's not? I don't fucking know.
But it's probably at the point where I imagine most people have no problem with Genesis until Abraham shows up. Like Abraham is like the only real historical point that no one takes issue with.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with the very, very beginning stories of it. I think are probably more allegorical than anything else. And that's not to say they're not true. I don't believe that the story of the Good Samaritan literally happened. That was Christ telling everyone a story to make a point. So I think we have established that God will occasionally just tell a story to make a point.
The current argumentation I've heard is that like the beginning of Genesis is in poetic language, and so it shouldn't be taken literally, though I've been told that's the best argument people give me.
Like I said, I just don't think it lines up with evidence. I just don't think it lines up with truth. A literal interpretation of it. And I don't really try to fight with Christians over it. I'm maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But, I'm not, my salvation isn't dependent on guessing how old the earth is. So I'm good on that,
It'd be kind of silly. That'd be kind of sad if our salvation was determined on that criteria, though.
Somebody in the chat says sentience brings the capacity for evil. Yeah, and we have it to a far greater extent than, at least as far as we know, any other animal does. Any other creature does. I mean, it's wrong when people say, like, for example, your dog doesn't think. I've always thought that was a dumb statement that just doesn't understand animals at all. Your dog doesn't think. He just runs on instincts. He just runs on instincts. That's it. Your dog doesn't think. Well, yeah, it does. It doesn't think about things in the same sort of theological or philosophical level you will. It doesn't ask why like you do.
So would you say that? So would it be more accurate to say that animals of the field or animals that are not human are mostly driven by instinct and impulse, whereas we human beings have the like rationality to slower impulses?
I think they're mostly driven by instinct and impulses, but again, you say like it doesn't think. I mean, you can observe even a dog engaging in pretty remarkable problem solving abilities and things like that. You can observe apes, for example, playing with puzzles and shit and figuring them out. It puts the square peg in the square hole and shit. Well, it doesn't have any instincts from the jungle knowing where the square peg goes. It thought about it. It analyzed it. It looked at it. This goes here. It didn't take the time to philosophically think, why is this person making me do this? He just realized, hey, if I do this, this guy gives me a banana. I better figure out how to do it. I like bananas. He doesn't stop to think, why does he like bananas? And I know that's kind of a stereotype. Gorillas aren't actually that big on fucking bananas, but you get the point. Let's see. Bechtloff is a Protestant. He doesn't have dogma. I don't think that's fair. Yeah, I would argue it's more the Catholics that don't have dogma. They have tradition. Let's see. I'm going through the chat here, looking at what we got. Why do literalists dismiss the Kant event of 60 million years ago that killed all the dinosaurs? They have no issue with human biology. Well, I mean, a Ken Ham type would just tell you that fucking dinosaurs, just existed in the Garden of Eden, and then another problem I kind of have with sort of the literal creationism. It's very easy to look at nature and see design, right? It's very easy to say this could not have evolved. This was clearly designed, right? The problem, though, is to the extent you can possibly argue nature is designed, death seems a pretty integral part of that design. Not a bug, not an afterthought, but a pretty integral part of it. And not only that, but some creatures, to the point they seem designed to kill. You have to wonder exactly what a shark is doing, in the, I guess, rivers of the Garden of Eden. You have to wonder what viruses and bacteria are doing. In fact, people often, a virus is almost this interesting little, it's sort of similar to how Davis describes demons, but it's almost this interesting little undead creature. It almost doesn't have independent life. Like I said, there's just a lot in literal creationism. I just can't square. Now, do I know exactly how I square evolution and my Christianity? No, but no matter what, I've come to the conclusion that I'm not going to be able to completely square the circle. So I just try to get as close as I can, and
That actually reminds me of a claymation of the stories of Mark Twain, and in it it interplays with different stories, but in it there's a story of Garden of Eden, and Eve has the idea to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and she tells Adam, I think we should eat the tree. I mean, look at this lion with its sharp teeth. He's not a herbivore. And Adam goes, I foresee trouble with this.
There's, and don't get me wrong, the guy's an annoying fedora, but there's actually a lot. There's this, it was Dark Matter 2525. He has a little cartoon where like Adam and Eve don't eat the apple, right? And all the life on Earth still fucking like procreates, but none of it dies. So like eons go by and the Earth is just covered in this like just fucking layers upon layers of just like living things just piled on top of each other. And like it's the smallest living, like there's a layer like a quarter mile thick of just bacteria at the bottom. So yeah, no matter what your worldview, ultimately you have to at some point make some manner of leap of faith. You can't just rationalize everything. You can't explain everything. I just kind of gotta I just kind of try and make my worldview so that that leap of faith is as small as possible because I'm not much of a jumper.
And I just, as a mental exercise, I always imagine what it's like to be like. From my perspective, I don't think it's possible. Like you say this over and over, it's not possible to really be an atheist without living in a world of contradictions. Like C.S. Lewis made this joke of as an atheist, he believed that God did not exist, but he was also very angry with God for not existing.
I would argue I don't see how an atheist can believe in any real moral absolutes. I mean, you can't. You know, the best you can come up with is that this sort of behavior would be good for the overall survival and thrival of mankind. But, you know, you then have to accept that that's a moral imperative. And, you know, on what grounds? There's plenty of environmentalists that think the rest of the living things on this planet would be far better off if mankind died the hell off. So, I mean, you know, without any kind of moral imperative, couldn't it be at least argued that the well-being of every other living thing on this planet outweighs us? We are but merely one species among countless.
I guess in the atheist world, there'd be a division between the humanists and the environmentalists.
Yeah, you know, that scene in Watchmen, I can't remember how much of it in the movie they really got into. But I remember in the book, you know, he's looking at lifeless Mars, and he thinks that looks better than Earth. And
he makes the joke of he says, "Look at this great wasteland. Do you really think this place would be improved by a pipeline or a shopping mall?"
Yeah, and who's to say? You know. Let's see. Somebody says, to me, a lot of atheists sound like that. They don't necessarily believe there is no God, but that the current versions of God are too immoral to be accepted by them. I think a lot of them are just fucking mad at God. I don't think it's a philosophical point. I think, you know, I mean, like, TJ the anal atheist just is mad at God, okay? He's just mad at God. And I mean, in all fairness, if you've seen his penis, I almost couldn't blame him. But he's mad at God. And, you know, I don't spend a great deal of time being mad at shit I don't believe exists. Yeah, I'm not fucking mad at leprechauns because I don't think leprechauns are fucking real. I'm not mad that none of them have given me their pot of gold because I don't think they're fucking real. Somebody says TJ's penis blank is proof that there is a God and he died of laughter.
Although I'm not sure which is worse, the fact that there's a video of him showing himself naked or the fact that he engages in the quote-unquote anal sex while he's naked.
With a banana. I've said this numerous times, but how loose does your asshole have to be to get a banana up there? I mean, this wasn't a frozen... this wasn't a frozen banana. This wasn't even a green banana, okay? Like, I've never tried to really put anything up my ass, okay? But I really don't believe I could get a banana up there without destroying that banana. I believe my ass is probably too tight for that. I believe most people's ass. I believe people who have had anal sex before couldn't do that. Like, look, I've done some shit in my day, okay, and I've fucked a girl in the ass before. All right, not gonna lie. I don't believe that even that girl could get a banana up her ass. Okay, I don't think she could do it. Okay, I don't think she can get an ass. I don't think most girls could get a banana in their pussy without fucking destroying it. I mean, they're not that fucking hard. My point here is that I don't believe for a moment that banana is the first thing that went up TJ's ass.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure a whole number of things went up there.
Voluntarily or involuntary?
God, what a disgusting fucking creature that guy is. I'll tell you what, TJ, you do manage to challenge one aspect of my faith, and that's the doctrine that all human beings have value. So he says, how did Jesus rise from the dead? Did God reanimate him? If so, how did one guy move aside a giant rock, stealing the entrance to his crypt cave? Did the Romans just fake his death? No, I just think he just reanimated him. The exact, details of that, I don't know. It's Christian teaching argues that his body was very, very different after he was reanimated. He was given this sort of incorruptible body. I believe flesh and bone instead of flesh and blood was a term used for his. There was something very different about his risen body that the Bible doesn't go into a great amount of detail about. But
I mean, is it really so? Is God can part the oceans and everything else? Is it really so hard to think you move a stone out of the way?
Yeah, I mean, how do you do it? He fucking. I mean, he's God. All right, he could. He's basically operating with the Infinity Gauntlet the whole time. Okay, he's got all the Infinity Stones right there. How did he move the?
It's always funny.
He moved the stone with mind bullets. I don't know. He's God. I'm sure he can bend the force of gravity if he wants. He can make that stone weigh 3 ounces.
You ever seen the movie? What's it called? Square Town or The Circle?
I don't think I have.
Well, basically, I was introduced to it about basically the story is like the world is like, and people are geometric shapes, and their value is determined by their shape. But everything's in 2 dimensions, and so when a 3rd-dimensional creature just moves into the dimension, it just appears out of nowhere. Like, hey, how'd you do that?
Oh, I thought there was like a story called Flatland. I remember.
That's it, Flatland. That's a Flatland.
But I remember actually thinking of that too, how it would appear. Because I remember one time, and I can't remember the context, but some pastor said something about how the devil can't be in 2 places at once, right? And his reasoning was the devil isn't omnipresent like God. And I'm like, I guess I've read more comic books than you, and I have a bit more of an imagination, but being in 2 places at once isn't being omnipresent. 2 is less than infinity, last I fucking checked. And also, yeah, I used the analogy when talking to him. I said, imagine, you were interacting with a 2-dimensional plane, and you stick all 5 of your fingers through there, on your hand. Well, as far as those creatures know, you manifest it in 5 different places at once.
I don't like the YouTube's new layout. They've adjusted so the image and the screen changes depending on the video formats. And so I always have to readjust my window and my screen, or sometimes like just the way on any given day on a coin flip, it'll just change the size of the screen.
Let's see. What's going on here? Checking the chat. Jesus is Scarlet Witch confirmed. Let's see. Except there's no living tribunal to tell him to sit down and shut up. Oh yeah, the Infinity Gauntlet reference. So there's a character in Marvel called the Living Tribunal, which is a character that exists outside of the multiverse, and is basically like a direct line with the unknowable ultimate God of all of reality. So he can actually judge a whole universe. And yeah, during one of the stories where Thanos had an Infinity Gauntlet, the Living Tribunal just like stepped into that universe and said, "You know what? The stones don't work together anymore. Fuck you." All right, this is getting out of hand, folks.
How sad would it be to know that the universe is decided democratically?
I wonder if a lot of creationists would have an equal level. Like I know a lot of creationists would have a fucking freak out if aliens ever visited. Probably call them demons and try and kill them or something. But I wonder if they'd have a similar freak out to find out there's a multiverse. I mean, if God created one universe, he can create a bunch, can he? Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. Oh, it's a question of
God's a storyteller. Who says he told only one story?
Although there's a question of like, are we just one book on a bookshelf, or how's that work? Although my argument for aliens is that's just more people to preach the gospel to.
Only this version of the universe is real. The others are demonic mirror images. You'd have creationists from both universes trying to kill each other.
Well, we're not Islam. I don't think most creationists are Islamic, though.
Yeah, I don't think Ken Ham really has the fucking stones to actually get physical. What else did I want to go through here? I know there was another article I wanted to talk about. The Mirror Universe version of me clean shaven. Let's see. I know there was another. I'm trying to find it. There was another article I want to talk about. Did we all have a good Mother's Day? I don't really give a shit about Mother's Day. My mother's dead, and to be honest, we never got along anyway. So, come on, I know there was something somewhere. I fucking want it.
Oh yeah, the church I went to. The church I went to had like this little Mother's Day thing where they actually had people that actually They were actually painting canvas pictures in front of church while the sermon was going, and they gave the pictures away at raffles.
The one church in my area was doing some sort of mother-son date thing, which I know it's really like I know their hearts are in the right places when evangelical churches do that kind of stuff, but it just always seems a bit fucking creepy to me. And maybe that's me, you know. Maybe it's because I'm too fucking jaded and all that stuff, but I just want to be like, guys, I know your heart's in the right place, but just it's time to stop.
Oh yeah, they painted this picture live.
Oh, that's nice. Let's see. Come on, where the fuck? I know there was an article on it. Read. I mean, if we're really bored, I could just read fucking Watching My Mom Go Black ad copy. Like I got 40 on the stream.
Well, you going to read like a comment section of it or what?
No, like on it in the chat, right? At first, I was all like, because I'm just shit posting. Like I just was shit posting in Davis's stream. I ended up leaving because like Davis's stream was too super serial, But like I'm in the chat and I'm like, I hear from Mother's Day, Watching My Mom Go Black.com is offering 25% off subscriptions. And he read that, and then like I just copy pasted the ad copy on like the fucking front page of the site into it. And like what's funny is like Forney had read that on my show at one point too when we were making fun of it. So he starts in on it, and it's just like, he's like, the Bechtloff says Aging women are sexual beasts. They're in the prime of their. He goes on for a few sentences.
Yeah.
Wait, no, this is watching my mom go black.com ad copy. Never mind.
Oh, Bechtloff, your Facebook feed is hilarious for your Mother's Day.
What is this? Oh, that. Yeah, there you go. That diner. Cream pie.
Well, this just proves to you that these people don't live on the internet. They're healthy people.
I like making that joke when people put recipes for like pies and all, and I'm like, you should Google extreme cream pie for a really good recipe.
Oh no.
Then again, I'm a dick, so that's another example of how porn got worse in the last few years. Like, I remember, like, you didn't see that in porns, like, ever. Like, back in the 90s, early 2000s, like, the dude came on a chick's face or on her back or on her tits, or maybe in her mouth, but she kind of spit it out, sort of thing. Like, now it's like fucking cream pies, anal cream pies, which is just worse. Yeah, it's but then, like, people wore fucking condoms in porns like 10, 20 years ago too. They don't do that now. Hell, I've seen porns where, like, the girls make a point of, like, the dude's wearing a condom when he pulls his dick out. It's all hard. And she's like, ew, it takes the condom off. And I'm like, that's lovely. That's not some social fucking engineering going on. some dysgenic social engineering.
Although it would affect people who watch porn regularly, I imagine.
Like, I know this sounds fucked up, but there was a bit more of a conscience in porn back then. It's like people making porn used to say, like, we don't want people to get STDs. Let's encourage them to use condoms. And so, like, porn just almost universally had fucking condoms back then. It's almost the exact opposite now.
It's kind of like that one nights where they're like the director actually has a conscience about treating his actresses right, but then when they try to expand into quote unquote risky territory and things just don't go very well for everyone.
Yeah, that was me shit posting in Forney's chat. I think, what was it? Aging women are sexual beasts. They change gears and enter the sexual overdrive of their life. Once living their lives only for their sons and daughters. These cougars are now in it for themselves. And that's about the point Forney was like, wait a second, this is watchingmymom.com. Just put it in the fucking chat, like, no context. I should, like, super chat fucking Razor Fist show with that stuff. You know what? That would actually be hilarious. Anybody who watches my show and you watch Razor Fist, I encourage you to super chat pornography ad copy at Razor Fist. I am officially saying that. I'm going to say that Saturday too when I have a bigger audience. Everybody who likes my channel and you like Razor Fist and you watch his live streams, like his little arcade live stream things, and you want to super chat pornographic ad copy at Razor Fist. I want to see if this can, like, build up enough that he's eventually like, what the fuck is going on? Why am I getting
So Saturday will be your official day getting back.
Yeah, just super chat, super chat, fucking pornographic ad copy at Razor Fist. So just in general, super chat pornographic ad copy at people all the time. Like, that's what you should be doing from now on. That should be the next meme. Yeah, just imagine poor Karen Gell's got to be like reading like Grayscale Plaid says hottwinksandbears.com. Like, Grayscale Plaid for $2 says these bears are yearning for twink ass. Sleepy Doodle for $2 says this is the hottest girl on girl site on the net. So he says, well, this just got even more interesting. There you go. And I mean, you can't even say, like, I like Razor Fist. He's a friend of the show. He's been on here numerous times. I enjoy his stuff. You can't even say I'm being mean to him. I'm telling you to give him money. Grayscale Plaid says, come on, Bechtloff. I thought you'd have a higher opinion of my taste in that. Well, I don't know anything about gay subcultures, okay? Thankfully. The only terms I really know are twink and bear. And I figure twinks would like bears and vice versa. You know, one's kind of the dude in the relationship, the other's the bitch. I don't know. I figure that's how it works. You know, I don't know exactly what you're into. Maybe you're subscribed to watching my dad go black. I don't know. I don't think that's a site, thankfully. But I said I don't think that's a site. It's not affiliated with watching my mom go black because I know Forney read out the whole fucking line of sites that company owns. Somebody says, welcome to the Cradle Robbers Circus where clowns ride the youngins and then help them with their homework. Let's see. 2018, watch my mom go black. 2020, watch my mom go trans. It'll be 2020, watch my dad turn into my mom. Lemonparty.com. Oh shit. Somebody in the chat just said lemonparty.com. Dare I? Dare I find out what this is? Okay, you know what? You can't be doing this to me because damn it, I am the kind of guy that's got to touch the stove. You don't understand. Lemonparty.com. Oh, this ain't nothing. This just goes to camlives.com. Yeah, it's a big fucking nothing. I was expecting some sort of we have such sites to show you. Okay, lemonparty.com.
Urban Dictionary, let's see. One of the unholy trinity of the internet pictures of which must all must witness and be jaded for internet users. So what is it? Well, come on, tell me what it is.
Urban, I gotta find out too. Dictionary.
Oh, here it is. Lemon Party is probably the tamest of all three by just being hardcore old men gay sex. Believe me, the other two are worse. Well, come on, give me a definition.
Why would you call it Lemon Party? I was expecting people pissing on each other or something to go with like yellow or something, but Lemon Party, when a bunch of horny gay old men have wrinkly hot sex. Okay. Apparently it's a .org. People are like, he doesn't know. No, I didn't know what a lemon party was. I couldn't tell you.
Let's see, lemonparty.org, according to Urban Dictionary, is a website featuring three homosexual generics engaging in fellatio and mouth-to-mouth kissing. Great for grossing out your friends, although not as shocking as Goatsy.
Can't go. Is that your site there, Grayscale Plaid Lemon Party? You like them gilfs and grandpas I'd like to fuck. He doesn't know. I don't know. I gotta. It's weird. Like I remember, like my one roommate, it came up like what a bear was somehow, and I had happened to hear that term, and I'm like, a bear's like a kind of an older, like hairy, kind of burly gay dude, and he's like, oh, so it's the opposite of a twink, and I was just like, what the fuck is a twink? We both learned something that day. Somebody's saying blue waffle at me. Blue waffle, I do know what the fuck that is. That's horrifying. Hell, that's nothing compared to the source video of Meat Spin. Don't ask me how I know what that is. I don't know what Meat Spin is, no. Democrats think there's going to be a blue wave, more like a blue waffle. That's actually very funny. You should probably that exact quote. You should fucking super chat at Razorfist because that's funny as shit. And he'll laugh. He'll laugh his ass off at that.
How apropos.
I remember cake farts. That's one of the the fucked up ones somebody people used to send all over the internet. And it was just a girl farting on a cake. I don't know. Somebody was getting off to that. What's a blue waffle exactly? You look it up. How about that? I had to see it, so fuck you. You do too.
Well, but to put it in the most sanest terms possible, imagine a overbloated yeast infection. An over bloated yeast infection in certain genital areas.
Where we're going, we don't need eyes. So he says, I think there was an article about some 50-year-old man who said he's now an 8-year-old girl who was adopted by a family. Yeah, I remember that. Bechtloff, ever heard of Tub Girl? Don't look it up. I've never heard of Tub Girl.
Oh yeah, it's I've heard of it.
I don't know. I have to say, 10 years ago, I was looking at tons of porn, and yet there's still OG porn that's all fucked up that I'd never heard of. I heard of when Forney was going through all the sites of the company that owns Watching My Mom Go Black. He mentioned Spring Thomas. And I'm like, oh, I remember her. It was 10 years ago. She was somebody that only did black dudes back when that was this interracial porn was still really super fringe, basically. I shouldn't say super fringe, but fringe. Yeah, I remember hearing about her. I've seen some of her shit before. She was kind of cute at first. She had braces, so that little girl next door thing going on. I'm not really keen on her doing dindus exclusively, but I don't think she's still active though. But apparently the site still exists. She couldn't be still active. She'd have to be haggard as fuck now. That was 10 years ago. But yeah, some of the stuff cake farts existed 10 years ago. I never heard of that till a couple years ago when people were passing around as a joke. I never heard of lemon party until just now. I didn't know what the fuck that was. So he says, Bechtloff, why are Jewish men circumcised? Because Jewish women love products that are 10% off. But let's see. 2 guys, 1 stump. Yeah, I don't think I'm Googling that. Tub Girl legit made me laugh. All right, God damn it. See, now you're making me do it, guys.
It's not very sexual, Bechtloff, just so you know.
Tub Girl. Images. Am I don't think I'm getting any of the Oh, is that the one where she shit up in the air onto herself or something?
Something like that.
I think I remember seeing that at some point. Ugh. Fuck is with people? Somebody's jerking off to that. Somebody is as we speak. I want you to understand that, folks. As we speak, as I am broadcasting this live, and probably later on as you're listening to it at a later date, somebody has a subscription to watchingmymomgoblack.com and is cranking it to it. Some fucking soy boy in a Bernie Sanders shirt is fucking cranking it to that. I saw that too. There's one guy, somebody shared this in the Discord. I gotta share it, and I know you could just put a quick censor over it, Luke.
Which one? There's so
many. There's a lot in the fucking retard sex of the Discord thing. Let's see if I can find it. Did I scroll past it? They found some dudes. I want to say it was on my retard sex server. Maybe it was somewhere else on Discord. I saw it, or somewhere else. Who the fuck knows? But it was some dude, and he's got a fucking like he's got a fucking cock cage on. I think it's actually got a sensor over it, and it said like small peener or something. But he's got a fucking cock cage on, but he's also got an Antifa shirt. And he like shared this picture of him in like a fucking cock cage to like some sort of Tumblr that's like, you know, dudes in chastity.tumblr or something like that. But it's just so funny that the guy wearing the cock cage has the Antifa shirt on, because of course he does. Let's see. Quentin Tarantino is cranking it to that right now. Is that like a thing? Does he actually? I've heard Grayscale Plaid say that before. Is he actually like into like his mom getting blacked? I don't like that. I knew he was into feet, but I mean, come on, everyone busts his balls about that. Can we not agree that having a foot fetish here in the current year is fucking downright life affirming compared to some of the shit people are into? Like, yeah, he's got a foot fetish, but that doesn't necessarily. I think there's a big old leap between wanting to suck toes and wanting to watch your mom get blacked.
Quentin Tarantino talks about his foot fetish and Barbie doll collection.
Okay, well, he's making a bit of that leap with the Barbie doll collection. 20% of humans make up 80% of the paused content on the internet. Somebody says his mom getting black happened in real life, I think. That doesn't necessarily mean that Tarantino was cranking to it. I mean, maybe. I wouldn't necessarily be shocked if it was true, because the guy is kind of fucked. But yeah, I never heard of that. That'll be his next fucking movie. He's got a massive thing for black dudes. Have you seen his recent output? I really haven't. What have I seen by him recently? Nothing. A lot of it looks like shit. Like Django looked like shit. I saw part of Inglourious Bastards and I thought it was shit. Like, I think Pulp Fiction's really, really good. I like Pulp Fiction. Maybe it's a touch overrated, but I like Pulp Fiction. I like his work in the Grindhouse movie. By the way, on a side note, I hate when Grindhouse gets split up into like the two movies and sold that way. Like, Grindhouse is something that should be experienced in one chunk. You should watch Grindhouse with the trailers and the missing footage and all, because it's meant to recreate a certain time in cinema. It's almost more than the sum of its parts. If you just watch those movies separately, you're just watching two kind of crappy B movies. But yeah, I like Pulp Fiction a lot. I never liked Reservoir Dogs. I always thought Reservoir Dogs, I don't know, like nobody in it is remotely fucking likable, you know? What else did he even do? Kill Bill, I liked, but in the sense that like I watched them and I enjoyed them and I never felt the need to watch them again. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain movies that fall into that category for me, because like I'm not one of these guys that I'm going to run around saying this was either the best thing ever, it was brilliant, or it was absolute shit. You know, I'm not one of those guys. Like, I liked Kill Bill. I watched him. I didn't even go to the theater for him. I just fucking watched him, right? I watched them, like I rented them. That's how long ago this was, folks. I rented them at a place in which you would rent DVDs at the time. But yeah, I rented both those. I watched them. I enjoyed them. I never felt the need to watch them again. So I would say Pulp Fiction's a good movie. Bordering on great. I wouldn't necessarily call it an absolutely great movie, but it's got moments of greatness in it. But that's probably the only really important flick that guy had in him. And the reason being is because he's not, like, the guy doesn't have any fucking original ideas. He doesn't have any real life experience. He's just a guy that watched a shitload of movies and movies and sort of condensed that all down into one really solid flick. But the problem is when you're just sort of regurgitating that shit, you're probably only going to get one solid flick.
Ever heard of Jackie Brown?
Yeah, I've heard of Jackie Brown. I think I saw it. I can't remember much about it.
I've actually never heard of it until just now.
Yeah, it was kind of his nod to blaxploitation stuff. I mean, again, he's just keen on dry humping the 70s. I mean, that's all his stuff really is. It's just dry humping the 70s. And to some extent, it ends up being sort of a celebration of / deconstruction of those kinds of movies, which, only gets you so far. Somebody says how Pulp Fiction and Django Unchained won an Oscar is anyone's guess. I'm not sure what Oscar Pulp Fiction won, so I'm not going to necessarily say it didn't deserve it. Django Unchained, I mean, didn't deserve shit. Again, though, I didn't see it. Maybe I'm being too hard on it, but I doubt it. Quentin Tarantino is the Dark Souls of cuckoldry. That's fucking fantastic. That's great. Let's see. Didn't somebody say he was going to direct a fucking Star Trek movie? That sounds like a goddamn disaster to me. Not that, Star Trek isn't already in the shitter right now, so.
With the only good bit being.
Although there's some Star Trek comics over at IDW that are decent. Last year they did a miniseries called Broken Mirror, which was like the Mirror Universe, but in next gen times. And there's a sequel to it called Through the Mirror, like miniseries called Through the Mirror right now. That's pretty good so far. There's a good Star Trek show on right now. It's called The Orville for some reason. Is that back? Like, I know it had like half a season this year. I wonder if I'm caught up on that or not.
Let's see how far they've gone.
Because I watch so little fucking TV anymore. I'm super behind on Arrow and Flash. I'm gonna have to like watch those seasons on Netflix. I haven't caught any Arrow and Flash since fucking since the Crisis on Earth X thing. Like, it ended up being like after Christmas, like almost all my free time ended up being Breath of the Wild. And then I got so fucking far behind on it. I'm like, I almost felt weird hopping back into it. It got a second season. I don't know if it's actually out yet or not. Yeah, I didn't think it was out yet.
Only 12 episodes out right now.
Oh, there are episodes out right now.
Well, no, 12 episodes. That was like 100 days ago.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying there are episodes of season 2 out.
No, just season 1.
Yeah, Orville's good. And Seth MacFarlane's a lot better than everyone wants to give him credit for. It's become suddenly fashionable to really, really shit on Seth MacFarlane. And I don't think he deserves that at all. I mean, don't get me wrong. the guy, it can be kind of a gamma at times, and I'm not saying everything he touches is gold or anything like that, but the guy's produced some really good stuff. I'm sorry, Family Guy's still probably one of the only decently watchable things online. Everybody wants to shit on Family Guy. Like every time, I mention it, like Forney and Davis will be like, "Oh, Family Guy's stupid," right? But then, like, if I describe a Family Guy bit to them, they laugh their ass off, and that's just me describing it. We're not even watching it, right? Because those cutaway gags are funny as shit. And you know what? Everyone, it's cheap. It's a cheap kind of humor. I wouldn't say it's an easy kind of humor. Let me put it that way. You basically got to have setup and payoff in 30 fucking seconds. That's not the easiest thing to do. And it's like, well, it doesn't have anything to do with the story. Who fucking cares? Some of them are funny as shit. Like there's one where it's like, this is like that time Godzilla attacked Haiti. And you see like the whole island of Haiti, it's just destroyed. Like everything's on fire. The buildings are rubble. And then Godzilla comes out of the water and he roars and he looks at it and he goes, "Oh God." And then he just like backs up into the water. That's funny. That is fucking funny. And you know what? Don't get me wrong. Family Guy is peaked. Family Guy is past its peak. It's well past its peak. And I don't watch it religiously anymore. But when I do catch it, usually it's pretty good. Every once in a while it's not. But usually it's pretty fucking funny. Like they did one where it was like, they did 3 different stories. What was kind of the same story. Peter got fired. But each one was quote unquote done by a different director. And like one of them was done by quote unquote Tarantino. And one of them was done by Michael Bay. And they were funny ass parodies. And I actually like how Peter Griffin described the birth of Michael Bay. And he looked at the Hollywood sign and he goes, "One time, decades ago, somebody stuck a piece of beef jerky in the ground, and that beef jerky eventually sprouted into a speedboat, which contained Michael Bay." Like there's a scene in the like Quentin Tarantino part where like Peter is in the he's in a coma and he wakes up from a coma and he says to the doctor, he's like, "What year is this?" And the doctor goes, "It's whatever year Quentin Tarantino watched television." Oh, and they used to do these bits. They did them after the Star Wars bits, but they would do bits where Chris and Peter would argue about whether or not Robot Chicken is any good. And basically it's like Seth Green and Seth MacFarlane arguing, right? Like at one point, they did it in the Star Wars bits a lot, I know, but like at one point they were all like, "Yeah, I hate that Seth Green guy. Have you ever seen that stupid puppet show he does? It's on at like 1 a.m. on channel 100. And he's like, "And did you see Sex Drive? Of course you didn't, because you're a person." Oh, dude. And then there's one where like Peter's really ripping into Seth Green, and then the rest of the family starts defending Seth Green, and they're like, "I'll tell you what I can't stand. It's that Seth MacFarlane guy." It's like, we get it. You watch TV in the 80s. This show is fucking funny. I'm sorry. I wonder, it's just stupid. No, it's funny. It's funny. Like, and it doesn't have to be anything more than that. It's funny.
Let's see if this clip works.
G.I. Joe, Transformers, Thundercats, He-Man! Yay! Those shows existed!
How's it feel to be on a major network for 30 seconds?
Fuck you!
Bye!
Yeah, the multiverse episode where they go to the Robot Chicken universe. And it's all done in stop motion. And you know what? That Ted movie is fucking hilarious. Ted is funny as hell. Now, I haven't seen Ted 2. But Ted 1 is fucking fantastic. So yeah, Seth MacFarlane gets a bad rap. I don't know. And there's this other guy, is this cartoon reviewer, the mysterious Mr. Enter. And I think it's ER did a review of him recently, did like a video on him.
Easy Peasy.
Easy Peasy did it. Yeah, that's right. but he constantly rips on Family Guy, and basically, like, he rips on Family Guy for being offensive. Like, oh, this joke is gross out humor, or it's offensive, or whatever. Like, there's an episode of Family Guy where it turned out that, like, Lois's dad, who's like super rich, was going to leave all the money to Chris, right? So Peter decides, well, I'm going to divorce Lois and then gay marry Chris because gay marriage is legal. That way I get the money, right? That's the premise of the episode. And it's supposed to be fucked up. And Mr. Enter's like, that's not funny. That's fucked up. It's like, no, it's funny because it's fucked up, you idiot. Well, there's no moral here. It is not supposed to be. It's fucking Family Guy. You're not supposed to have your little kids watch it, and you're not supposed to take your moral fucking gumbus from it.
Yeah, and I kind of lost track. Like the thing that made me stop watching Family Guy was this one scene where Peter Griffin wakes from a dream because he dreamed he was eating a sheep, and it looks at like he thinks he ate his pillow by accident. And he looks over, but he sees a half-eaten sheep dragging itself across the floor. At that point, I think to myself, I think your moral compass should have been left out the window by this point, dude.
Well, see, part of the problem with modern Family Guy is that Seth MacFarlane doesn't want to do it anymore, but he's sort of contractually obligated, and so he likes to. You gotta understand, moments like that, more often than not, are him fucking with the audience. Like, he's deliberately trying to make you stop watching. Which, to me, is this almost fascinating Andy Kaufman type thing. Once I became aware of it, like, I kind of realized, like, there are times when the audience is the subject of the joke. And, I've sort of stepped back enough from it that I am now finding that funny. You know, once it dawned on me, that's what's going on.
Oh, you ever heard of a TV show?
Times where he's kind of fucking, I hate to say that like this, woke on issues like homosexuality and trans. He does not have a very high opinion of trans, and that leaks into that show numerous times. And he's not overly fond of the fags either, which is funny. Everyone calls him a closet fag, but like the line where Peter Griffin wants to marry his son for the money kind of thing. He's like, yeah, we'll get married, Chris. And Chris goes, I thought that was marriage was only between a man and a woman. And he goes, no. That was just all of human history until 5 months ago.
Coming to that realization, like that whole what Seth MacFarlane trying to annoy the audience, it reminds me of it reminds me of this one movie called Boomerang, where this guy is he's a head of a charge of a television network, and he's deliberately making racist content that gets very high approval, and so he's contractually obligated to make more of it, even though he's trying to get himself fired.
Yeah, I think the killing off Brian thing was probably him fucking with the audience. I mean, I like I said, I really think he's probably just sick of doing this, and he wants people to stop watching Family Guy. Like he wants to be doing the Orville. That's what he wants to do. He's just sort of contractually obligated to do Family Guy. What do we got going on in chat? He's saying he's begging us, please free me. Stop watching my work. Bechtloff, will you ever be on the public space with JF? I doubt it. I mean, I wouldn't turn down an invitation, but I don't really watch JF stuff. I mean, you know, I barely watched Worski Live. The only real one of the blood sports things I ever really watched a great deal of was the Kumite. The rest of it, I just caught clips of it on like American Pride and Cronus' channel. But the Kumite, I'd actually have on and listen. Part of the problem with that is I can't listen to live stuff on my phone, so I have to be at the live laptop to listen to anything live. And then, but yeah, I would sometimes fire up the Kumite and have it on when I was doing other stuff. So he says Bechtloff isn't a chick, so he will never be allowed on. Yeah, I haven't necessarily heard the best things of JF. Somebody says it kind of sounds like Ralph Bighead sick of doing his cartoon, so he shows a jar of mayonnaise for an hour. That sounds fucking familiar. What show is that from? What is that? Where the Ralph Bighead? The only character named Bighead I can think of was Mr. Bighead and Rocco. Ralph Bighead. I gotta Google this shit. What the hell was that? Ralph.
Oh yeah, that's his son.
That was from fucking Rocco. That's right.
Yeah,
his son.
Yeah, he wanted to give up. He didn't want to follow in his father's footsteps, and so he went to Hollywood. But there's one episode where he hires Rocco's friends to make movies, and even though they're absolute garbage, people keep buying them and keep paying them. And he goes insane because he wants to make real art.
Yeah, I remember that, and yeah, he did show like the mayonnaise for half an hour, and that is a weird fucking Bulbasaur you found there. It's my Bulbasaur waifu right there. You should post that in the Discord.
Will do.
Yeah, in the Bulbasaur posting. Yeah, that's me after the operation, folks. Yeah, I loved Rocco's Modern Life. Let's see. And I guess I'll probably wrap this up. All right, folks. If you enjoy the show, check out the down below. There's the PayPal, the Patreon, the Amazon wishlist. All ways you can support the show. And as I said before, any kind of media I get on the Amazon wishlist, I'll do a review of once I'm done with it. If I get a DVD, a game, a book, any kind of thing like that. If I get like a figure off there, I might do like a quickie review, but there's not a great deal. Maybe I'll do like another action figure review if I get one off the Amazon wish list. But I did a couple of those back in the day, and they never seemed to get any real views, even by my channel standards. So I don't know. We'll see. But definitely any kind of media off there, I'll review on the Sexy Bulbasaur Hour here on the Bechtloff Show. That's the. But I'll review on a live stream, maybe in an animated video. And obviously, there's the PayPal where you can send a one-time donation to help support the channel, and there's the Patreon where you can become a regular supporter. And next month we'll be back to being able to do super chats. I know that's a big deal to everybody. Everybody likes doing the super chats, and I'm gonna try and get some more content, some better content. I know, like, the internet blood sports thing is kind of fizzled out, but that's not exactly what I'm looking to do. I'm not looking to just mine drama because it's such a two-edged sword. I don't, it's so easy to get your channel flagged by some faggot, cough, cough, Mike Enoch fanboy. I'm looking to do more kind of substantial topics, but hopefully it should be entertaining. We're going to be experimenting with some new stuff, trying to really make the channel, make the Bechtloff channel great again. All right, folks. Well, that's all I got for tonight. I want to thank you all for listening. Like I said, if you want to support the channel, do below. Also, check out the Discord. Check out the Facebook, facebook.com/thebechtloff, gabs.ai/thebechtloff, twitter.com/Bechtloff podcast. And that's all I got for tonight, folks. Thanks for listening. Bechtloff out.